y'all, Dixie here. Today I want to talk to you about why I'm doing something that I never really thought that I would do, and that's switching from down to synthetic, my quilt and my coat. The main reason I never thought that I would switch from down to synthetic is because synthetic items like synthetic sleeping bags, quilts, coats tend to be heavier than those insulated with down. And especially now that I have all of this camera equipment, I just didn't intend on adding extra weight to items that I had already lightened up over the years. But as they say never. And just a little side story here before I get into the exact reason. If you don't really care about the backstory, then you can check the video description for timestamps so you can skip ahead. For several years now, my face has been getting puffy when I sleep at night. I wake up in the morning and it's just especially kind of puffy around my eyes, but nothing's been really itchy or anything like that. But it's no surprise to me that I've had allergies to the outdoors. Growing up, when I used to cut my parents' grass, and even as an adult as I cut my own grass, I typically have itchy, watery eyes, or my nose will start running, or worse, my ears itch. And for any of y'all that have allergies, you know how you wish you could just like shove a bottle brush cleaner down in your ear hole, because that might actually satisfy and scratch the itch that you're having. But anyway, I even found out while I was in high school that I was allergic to the cold. I know that sounds made up, and I always say that I'm cold-natured, but at one time I was actually even allergic to the cold. I found that out because I was in the Christmas parade, and we had to wear our cheerleading uniforms even though it was like 40-something degrees that night. And when I got into the warmth of my mom's truck, I broke out in hives and went to the doctor, and he's like, yeah, actually, you are allergic to the cold. But that's something that can kind of come and go. If you don't believe me, look it up. In fact, I'll put a link in the video description to this video if you want to learn more about that. But anyway, all of those things over time have seemed to be manageable with a daily allergy medicine like Claritin, Zyrtec, or in worst cases, Benadryl. But especially over the last couple of years, the Claritin, taking it daily while I'm backpacking, still doesn't really seem to help, which has been weird to me because it's not like I'm just scrubbing my face in the grass every day or anything like that. And especially in the tent at night, it just seems like I would have less allergens than while I'm walking during the day. But while I was on the Florida Trail, a light bulb kind of flashed on, because I noticed that on the warmer nights, I didn't have my puffy coat on with my hood up on my head and, you know, burrowed down in my quilt with the quilt thrown over my face. Some nights were warm enough that I didn't wear the puffy at all, or my quilt was down by my waist. And I noticed on those nights that when I would wake up in the morning, my face wasn't swollen at all sometimes, or not quite as swollen as the nights where I was really burrowed down in the down. So I started putting two and two together and thinking, well, maybe I'm allergic to the feathers. But even making that connection, I didn't really think much more of it until the Teton trip. And I went out there, took my daily allergy medicine, and even started taking Benadryl at night to try to prevent some of the puffiness after I noticed my face swelled up the first night. But as the trip went on, it might get a little bit better during the day, but then at night when I slept and when I woke up in the morning, it was worse with each passing day that I stayed out there. Until at the end, my eyes were sore from the pressure of my face being swollen. And again, nothing was really itchy. There were no hives or anything like that. So I started thinking, what if I'm having some sort of medical issue? You know, it's something else, because even taking 2 Benadryl at night and my allergy medicine during the day, I mean, it just wasn't even touching it. Thankfully, I found some hail while I was out there. I didn't really appreciate it being hailed on at the time, but the next day when I was able to collect some of it and put it on my eyes, that seemed to help the swelling a little bit. I mean, it was really bad. But when I got home, I decided I needed to go get an allergy test done and find out if there was a possibility that I was allergic to the down in my sleeping bag and in my puffy coat. But in doing a little bit of Googling before I went to the doctor, I found out it's actually pretty rare to be allergic to feathers themselves, and it's more likely to be allergic to dust mites that can live in the down. But nevertheless, I went and got tested. And if you're afraid to get allergy tested because you hate needles, I always thought that they actually like injected you with needles when you got an allergy test. But it's actually just these little pokey things that don't break the skin or at least make you bleed, and they just press these two panels on your arm, kind of wiggle them around, and you wait 15 minutes to see if you're allergic to anything. And the results, basically, I'm allergic to backpacking. I tested positive for weeds, grasses, trees, which some of those would be the pollen, not actually just being in the presence of the plant itself. 2 different types of dust mites and feathers. And I'm actually allergic to cat hair, but thankfully not dogs, because I would just have to be miserable for the rest of my life. So with this newfound information, I'm going to try using a synthetic sleeping bag and puffy coat in case I am actually the unlucky winner of a feather allergy. But I'm gonna include another link in the video description because there's a chance that it's more or less kind of like a false positive, not actually a false positive, but there is a chance that even with the skin test, the feather sample could have been contaminated with dust mites. So you're actually just testing positive again for a dust mite allergy. So I'm still not 100% sure I'm allergic to feathers, but there's a chance. I reckon I could have also been experiencing something that I recently found out about called peripheral edema, which is swelling that can occur in the arms, legs, or the face at altitude. And it can be associated with altitude sickness, but it also happens a lot of times without any other symptoms. And it seems like women are more likely to experience this condition than men. So it could have been that compounded on my allergies, who knows. The quilt that I've landed on is the Enlightened Equipment Enigma Apex Custom. The reason I decided to go with Enlightened Equipment is because I've used their products in the past. I know they make good quality stuff and they try to make it lightweight as possible without compromising quality and warmth. They do have non-customizable options of their quilts and sleeping bags, so if you're in a rush to get something, you can get it pretty quickly. The customizable items, of course, have a longer lead time because they have to actually make it to order. But since I've got some time, I decided to get exactly what I wanted. I went with the 20-degree rated bag. That's actually the warmest synthetic bag that they have available in the Enigma. And I'm gonna need something for colder temperatures if I continue to use this moving forward. So I just went ahead with the warmest rated bag, or coldest rated. For my dimensions, I got the regular length and the slim width. And then they've got a lot of cool different colors to choose from. I guess I was craving mint chocolate chip ice cream when I selected my colors because I went with the robin eggshell blue on the outside and black on the inside. You can also customize the denier of the nylon that's being used on your quilt or bag. 7D is the thinnest or most lightweight material that they have, and then 20D is the most durable that they have, but of course it's going to be on the heavier side of things, so I went somewhere kind of in the middle and went with 10 denier nylon on the inside and the outside. So the total weight of this quilt is 26.79 ounces and it cost me $230. If we were going to compare this exact setup but with a down fill, I would have gone with the 950 fill power down, and that would have weighed 18.06 ounces and it would have cost $370. So for $140 less, I got a synthetic bag that weighs almost 10 ounces more. To replace my Montbell Plasma 1000 down parka coat that I absolutely love, I went with the Enlightened Equipment Women's Torrid Custom. I've never had an EE coat before, so I am excited that I get to try that out. I ended up, for my size, going with the medium coat with a hood. Of course, with all of their products that are customizable, the weight and the price will change depending on what you choose. For this particular item, I also went with 10 denier nylon on the inside and on the outside of the coat. A similar color scheme with black on the outside this time and the robin egg blue on the inside. The total weight of the coat is 7.75 ounces and the cost was $175. The fill on this coat is Enlightened Equipment's Apex material, which is 2 ounces per square yard. And I don't really know how that relates to warmth of, say, a 950 fill power down, but I'll let you know how it feels after I try it out. I had considered the Montbell Ultralight Thermo Wrap Parka instead, just because I do love my Montbell plasma coat so much. But in looking at it, it was made out of a more heavyweight denier nylon than the Enlightened Equipment is, and that some of the coats I've had in the past, like the Ghost Whisperer, I believe was 7 denier nylon and 10 denier nylon. So having the added weight now in my pack of a synthetic quilt, I didn't want to add extra weight onto the coat also, if at all possible, especially because I think that the Enlightened Equipment 10 denier nylon jacket will be durable enough. Also, it was $34 more expensive than the EE coat for a total price of $209. And while it wasn't a whole lot heavier, it was close to 3/4 of an ounce heavier for a total weight of 8.4 ounces. And at first I was thinking, okay, well, if it's heavier, then it would probably be warmer. But doing a little math, or actually having Google do the math for me, I found out in converting the weight of their fill material that it's 1.2 ounces per square yard, so I assume that it also wouldn't be quite as warm. My current puffy coat, the one that I really love, the Montbell Plasma, is 8.4 ounces, but I ended up with the men's version. The women's version would be 7.9 ounces, so it is similar in weight to the Enlightened Equipment synthetic coat that I decided to get, and it was $439, so the EE coat is definitely much more cost friendly, but I'm telling you, my puffy coat is so comfortable, so the EE coat has definitely got some big shoes to fill in the way of comfort and warmth. I'll be testing the new quilt and coat out in the fall when I go out hiking. I'll let y'all know how it goes. I'm definitely gonna wash these items right before I go to, in hopes of killing any dust mites that have decided to grow and reproduce in my quilt and coat. Doesn't that just give you the heebie-jeebies? But anyway, I'll do that before I go and try to get a good test on whether this helps not make my face swell up like the Grinch's heart. And also, I'm probably gonna try the down again in the future and just try washing it again immediately before I go. I'm not super great about always washing the stuff, but it would be a real pain to wash frequently on a through hike, just because you have to take so much care of down. So this is something that could definitely change for me on long distance hikes, regardless of whether it's the feathers or the dust mites. So if you've been experiencing anything like your face swelling up while you're sleeping and you're not getting the typical reaction of what you would think of with allergies, like itching, stuffy nose, all that stuff, then this might be the issue for you also, and I would recommend getting allergy tested. Of course, I'm not a doctor. This is not medical advice or anything like that, but I'm just trying to figure it out. If any of y'all know that you have allergies to dust mites down and you've had to deal with any of this while backpacking and you've found a way to continue using your down, then please let me know in the comments below. Oh, and if you are interested in the shirt, I do have some new merch in the store on my website. You can find that link in the video description as well. Thank y'all so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe before you go, and we will see y'all next time.